Today, we're looking at one of my favorite pocket watches. And so you might ask, why is this my favorite pocket watch? Is it the most beautiful? No. Is it the most rare? No. But it does have something just a little bit special that separates it from the rest of the crowd. Let's take a look. Welcome to another episode of Pocket Watch Time. My name is Patrick W. And today, we're looking at a pretty special pocket watch. So I alluded that this pocket watch has some special details, something that makes it different from the crowd. And at first glance, you might see it. There's a name on the dial that just doesn't strike a bell. So I'm going to introduce you to a new vocabulary word in the world of pocket watches. A private label pocket watch. So you probably know of some private labels these days. There's a really expensive Nautilus with Tiffany's name on it. There's plenty of lesser known watches out there that have somebody's name on it too. Although these watches are famous today, their origins started from a pocket watch. The actual pocket watch that we're looking at is a Riverside Maximus made by the Waltham Company. And if you watch any of my videos, you know that this pocket watch doesn't have a standard Maximus dial. Well, in a way it does. So this is still a glass enamel dial. It still has all the markers and the font of a Maximus. But instead of Waltham and the traditional Maximus font, this watch has a private name on it. And as it turns out, the private name is Henry Birks Sons. This is a high-end jewelry store in Montreal, Canada. And it seems late in the 1890s, when this company first came into production, they made a deal with the Waltham Watch Company to make them some special dials so they could make some watches that have their private label on it. And this is one of those watches. What makes this a little bit unique: one, it's an American watch that found its way to Canada and actually got itself a Canadian case to go along with it. So this is a full Canadian piece. And two, and probably the weirder fact, most companies that made private label watches, well, they made them with good watches, but not great watches. Do you really buy a Bentley to cover up the name Bentley with your own name? Well, I guess some watches do that. But in the late 1890s, when this watch was produced, I think most companies had better taste. If you had a high-end dial with the high-end font, usually you just left it that way. Most of the time these private label watches were on high, but not really high-end watches. So finding a Riverside Maximus with a private label dial, it's actually kind of a rare thing. And finding one with its original Canadian case, well, that's kind of cool too. So getting down to the basics of this watch, this is a Riverside Maximus movement. It's a 12 size model 1894. It has 21 jewels, and it was made in the late 1890s. The Henry Birks & Co. Company was only founded in 1893, so this watch was probably pretty soon in this company's history. I particularly like this age of Waltham Maximus. I feel like the movements made before the 10 million series just have a little higher quality and just seem to be a little bit better made. So finding an early Maximus, well, that's one of the things I look for. And of course finding a private label Maximus, that makes it even better. This watch isn't the rarest watch in the world. There are a total of about 1,400 made. That's not a big number, but not a super small number either. But being a relatively scarce pocket watch with an original private label dial, that definitely makes this a more rare piece. And if you haven't noticed from my collection, I like weird and rare watches. So I don't really have that much more to add to this. Besides being a private label piece, and now that you know what a private label piece is, the rest of this is really just a Waltham Maximus. All the typical Waltham Maximus stuff is there. The movement is beautifully finished. The gear train is made out of solid gold. And it has multiple diamond end stones. This really is a high-end piece. The only sad fact I have for this watch, even though this case is the original case, and even bears its Canadian ancestry, I wish it was a solid gold case. I've been keeping my eyes out for a solid gold case made by this manufacturer dating from around the same time. But man, that's a hard thing to find. So for now, the watch just lives here in this gold-filled case. So one day, I hope to put this watch in a more suitable case, a more deluxe case, something that I think just fits this deluxe watch a little bit better. But regardless, it's a beautiful watch. The case is in decent shape. And of course, that private label dial is really fun to see. Thanks for watching this episode of Pocket Watch Time. If you have any questions, please leave them below. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you next week in a new episode. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe to Pocket Watch Time. I have lots of reviews on watches and on pocket watches. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below.